Hello everyone, welcome to the weekly chart review. It is Saturday, August the 20th. This video is going to be coming out a little bit delayed. Internet has been a bit rough for me over the last few days, so hopefully this will be uploaded before markets open on Sunday. But even if it's delayed slightly, it's not going to be too detrimental. I don't believe that we're going to be seeing very many strong moves until at least Monday. But for the time being, I'm going to jump in on oil. This has been of some significant interest to me over the last several weeks, and I believe that we finally hit the retracement level I've been looking for. So my XTI chart is the oil that I can personally trade on leverage. So I created a support and resistance line from, back in the past. It was meant to be slightly lower right here, just where it peaked off before it finally dropped off from October to November. Okay, and then the climb all the way up to 127. All right, so now we've just hit this previous level of resistance, which is now support, on the 17th, 16th, and 17th, right? You can see both wicks are just bouncing off that zone. Okay, so my prediction for oil long term is we're going to be making new highs, just based on some unique data that's been accessible to me. And obviously, I just did a little bit of research personally, right? So I encourage everybody to do the same. But that's my XTI chart. I'll pop on US oil itself. It has a bit more detail to it. I had that fib channel drawn up from way back in the past, right? So as you can see, even that support and resistance, this fib channel is playing off this beautifully. So let's go on the weekly time frame to see how that significantly plays off, right? So it's this aqua line that we're looking at. So as you can see, back in even 2011, 2012, it bounced off this line a few times before finally breaking through. And then way over here in November of 21, okay, it used it as a resistance bar and bounced off it significantly, and then just kind of blasted right through it. But it hovered here for about a week, right? So as you can see, it was just a doji candle that formed, so it hovered around this line and finally ended up breaking through. Okay, so it's a pretty significant line. My aqua lines are whole numbers, right? So this is the 0, this is the 1, this is a 2, this is a 3, right? And it's just whole number increases on the Fibonacci lines. Okay, and where else can we see that aqua? Right here, right here. This consolidation played right through it, right? So if I draw the volume bar here, hopefully is able to pop up. Yeah, so very, very close by, just below it, right there. Okay, and the reason being is because it hit a peak right there, so just kind of playing on and off it. Okay, so it's a very significant line from what I've seen. Okay, and judging from how back goes, like 97, it wasn't even close to being that high, right? So it's really only in play from 2006. And then we see where we're sitting at right now. We're just bouncing off it for this week, right? Even though the week's been slightly red, it's been deeper and then kind of recovered a little bit. All right. Personally, I believe that aqua line, so 85, around 85.5 cents, is as low we're going to go for barrels of oil. And then we're going to be seeing new highs being made. Okay, just a simple fib drawing as well. If we take it from this last low to the ultimate high that we had here, you can see that it's, for 3 weeks now, it's been bouncing off the 618. And finally it had a little bit of a deeper push just down to that aqua and rejected. Okay, so I'm going to be looking for any upward momentum. So if oil has a steady rise of about 1% or more a day, then we're not going to be seeing this price range again. Okay, and just to give you a little bit of a heads up, right? Occidental, Warren Buffett wants to buy up approximately 50% of the company's entire value. So I mean, one of the most famous and stable investors of our time decides to buy a crazy amount of one oil company. Okay, not to say that he probably couldn't buy any more of them. Maybe this one was more shares withstanding compared to, or withstanding, more shares that were available for him to buy compared to any other oil companies. But he did have Chevron that he purchased just early 2020, and now he's buying up Occidental like crazy, and the stock itself rose nearly 10% when that news hit. Okay, so I mean, guys, I don't want to split hairs here, but just based on that kind of information and this technical analysis, I think it's looking pretty good for it to go higher. Now, I mean, that sucks as a consumer, but it's fantastic if you're in a trade upwards. All right. If you do leverage trades on oil, what I've learned is that a reasonable stop loss is anywhere between $2 to $3. So, I mean, it's quite high unless you play smaller lot sizes. But let's take a look at 4-hour time frame, right? Even, you know what, let's say 1-hour time frame. Let's go in that, okay? So we see right here within the span of, and let's draw up the box. We'll do it for one full day, right? So right here to right here, right? So that is approximately 1 day's worth of trading, okay? All of that. So, you know, I mean, it can be very, very spiky, especially if you just look at the times, right? So this was 5 a.m. my time, so 7 Eastern. And, oh, pardon me. And then it just spiked and then dropped hard, right? So as you can see, that's over $4 a drop, right? So, I mean, that's why I'm saying $3 is a pretty reasonable stop loss, even if you're playing off the consolidation here, right, and wanting to go for a sell. Look how high it went up, almost $3, right, before dropping. So, I mean, this would have been a 2-to-1 trade on oil, and that would have lasted less than a day. Okay, so, yeah, about $3, depending on which direction you go. I mean, if you took a buy, you would have been wrong, unfortunately, right? But that's the name of the game sometimes. You have to lose a little before you learn, and then you will start to gain money once you understand the particular pairs, or, you know, if there's any world news, right? Fundamentals and sentimental and technical analysis all play its part for US oil. Anyway, so that's what I believe will happen with this. As you can see, it wanted to push down a little bit more, but it kept driving the price higher for the ending of the week. All right, so we had an EMA shift down here right at that fib almost, and then up it goes. We had a bit of play, and you could see the rejection off of this fib channel line, but not too hard, like we didn't start dropping all the way down again. Okay, and based on where we're at here, it's possible that we can have another drop down to the aqua. If you just take a look at that, right, like where are we sitting? Bounced off 618, not once but twice. So it could very well be that it will drop some more before this starts moving to the upside. And again, the only reason I would say that that would happen is if we draw a volume bar overall, it's consolidation here. I'm kind of sitting there right now, right? To go a little bit lower, I mean, yeah, I can't see it dropping too far down. Maybe 87 will be the lowest it goes. But yeah, overall, this is going to be climbing. So that's oil in a nutshell. Took a little bit too much time on that. And for those of you that like to get my NASDAQ in on the Forex, I'm going to be just doing that on the stock analysis. Okay, so you can see my color-coded Forex pairs. I'm going to be going over the dark blue ones and the red. So, I mean, pretty decent amount this time around. The aquas are more of trades that are going to be more useful on my strategy, not so much with market structure. Okay, so let's just dive into the greens first, because these are previous wins. So, like I said before in a previous video, I was waiting for this for 3 weeks. It came really damn close, but as you can see, I mean, so much for my 3 pip entry ratio here. You know, overall this has dropped about 327 pips, so that's very nice. The trade idea was good. The entry was just a tad off. You can see where it is. I didn't change my charts. I'm just going to let this ride because there's no sense in reanalyzing. I still believe that's the goal. So it is what it is. I mean, we had a big imbalance here on a 4 hour. If we switch over to the 1 hour, it's still pretty decent right there. There is a potential that it has a pullback to that area. So if we even take the fib, right, we go from the highest point there, draw it out, so you can see 618 is going to be just below that imbalance. So if perchance you still want to have the FOMO and jump right into a trade, I mean, I wouldn't go much more than a 25 pip stop loss to try to be able to snag that rest of the drop. So I mean, 8%, 8 to 1 ratio, 8.5 to 1 ratio is still pretty good. And again, that's just a trade idea if it does pull back to this area. If it doesn't pull back, I would not enter that trade. Unfortunately, whatever's gone is gone, right? So we move on. Gbp Cad, a beautiful trade. This ended up hitting TP right there. And 6 to 1 gain, you know, 60 pip stop loss. Could have been even tighter for 35. But again, risking at that point, right? So going with 60 pips, 6.3 to 1, I think it was when I said a little bit more. But again, 60 pip, 387 pip gain. So that's just a little over 6 to 1. Good round to see it happen. I believe this was, where was it? Right here, the spike up. That would have been pretty crappy to watch, right? It would have been that we're sitting at what, like around 200 pips, and then it's like almost back at break even. That'd be a little rough, right? So kudos to anyone who held the distance and took that there. For those of you that would have exited after this, you know, any sort of volatility around this area, still a decent win, right? Like, it's not too shabby. But again, the reason why I like fib analysis is even within an hourly time frame. You can take it from the high here all the way down to the low there. You can see a very deep push, but overall it kind of stayed for the next 2 hours around that 618 and started dropping once again. So that could have been a potential for re-entry. And also you can see 1, 2 places where it would have been, oh, what's the name for it again? What's the name? Man, the name escapes me right now. I apologize. But I know it is a double top, but not exactly what I'm talking about. It's more of when price comes back to a certain point, it just allows people that are within that trade to jump back in or pick up more shares or, you know, more lot sizes, so to speak, in regards to that. Forget what the term is called. It'll come back to me eventually. But anyway, you know, that's what you see in the short term, and it would have been a decent chance to get back in there, but it is what it is, right? I mean, holding on for the duration would have been the smarter move. Once for me it goes about like 50 or 60 pips in profit, I just move it to break even and set my TP and I let it go. So that was a very nice win. Okay, so now the big guys. Aud Cad. This is what I see. I didn't drop a trade idea, but from what I can see right here, it's not making lower lows. It's slowly going back up, and the overall movement of Aud Cad, I believe, is going down. Right? So you can see my fib channel, it's dropping. That's why I'm predicting a double top to happen here before it goes lower. Okay? AUD and Nzd, I believe, are the strongest currency pairs currently. And yeah, I mean, typically what happens is they show a bit of weakness when the interest rates come out. However, overall in the long term, they start dropping. So, you know, we will see how far that actually ends up going. And as far as news, I don't think that there is any. It's all going to be Euro, JPY, USD. and GBP to an extent, right? So there's going to be Purchasing Managers Index for GBP, Euro, and USD, Consumer Price Index for the JPY, and crude oil inventories on Wednesday for USD. So I believe on Wednesday for oil, again, that is when we're going to be seeing a massive climb to the upside. But again, that's just a theory. Okay? So anyway, trade idea is here. Quite possibly, I'm going to jump in on this one on a 1 hour EMA shift to the upside, and exit will be kind of where that double top is going to form. Right? So it's looking pretty decent right now. It's in that red zone that I've drawn up. Taking a trade, I would say a reasonable flip would be somewhere around there. Taking it right here to that aqua with a stop loss of about 32 pips. So 4.74 or 4.5 if you want to go a little bit deeper with a stop loss would be pretty reasonable. I do think that this is going to be climbing back up, but time will tell, right? AUD USD. So the red I indicated for both my strategy and for market structure. So they're going to be very nice trades if everything holds out true. What I can see right now is this area is going to be quite nice to jump in on a trade. And let's take a look at the smaller time frames, why I did that up specifically. Okay, so right here, big imbalance on the 4 hour. Okay, I believe I did it on the 2 hour as well. Yeah. So there is a big imbalance right here on the 2 hour. Not as big as these green ones, but they were filled, right, because of the big drop. So this is all that's left. I'm predicting slightly near the bottom, but it is entirely possible that it will bounce up a little higher. Let's switch over to the daily just so you have a better idea. Okay. Reason being, again, I don't even think it's going to come back up to that area. It might just continue to drop based on where it just finished retracing, like it just crossed that 618 into the golden zone where you see this kind of translucent box. Okay, so I think trade idea may not even happen, but if it does, this is where I predict it'll pull up. However, with my strategy, when the pivot lines appear, it would be a very good idea to jump in on them, and if it's a decent amount in profit, that would be something that you mitigate all the way down to here, to the 63-cent mark. It's going to be a nice nice win, especially with that. So keep an eye on it. You know, it's very likely this will keep going down. You know, the pullback is just a what-if scenario. I don't even think that's going to happen, actually, because even this pinned lower than what was consolidating here in the past, I think we're going to continue to drop. So enter where you want. Not going to jump in on any more ideas, but this one is, you know, maybe a Hail Mary shot at best. Anyway, Bitcoin, haven't dove into this in quite a while. But the only thing I can see right now is a big imbalance here. It could be a pull-up before a harder drop. So Bitcoin, I mean, it already hit that 18,000 mark a little while ago. It's probably going to get worse. Even lower, 17,500. Yeah, it might get worse. So if we do it overall, this is where it's been dropping. So I'm going to move this one down. There it goes. That's pointless now. And these volume lines, I mean, I'm going to delete. I drew them up a long time ago, but they're kind of irrelevant right now. This line, historically, the white line, what did I draw it up from? I think it was when we just hit this low right here, but you can see that low, it's been used as a resistance line. It's possible that this will keep climbing. I doubt it. Overall, I think we are sitting, let's see, 786 area. That high? Yeah, it just bounced off there. So, judging from what I see here, and what we had in the bottoms here in the past, let's just arbitrarily say right there to a peak. All right, you can see that we drop below 786 for a few months and then kind of retested it and came back. So I believe we might see the same thing, right? Something more like this, where it kind of screws with people and goes below this area, sits below that area for a bit, and then goes up, retests, and then back up it goes, right? Similar path. I mean, Bitcoin is very predictable, right? If you take this kind of extreme level case and use it what we had in the past, it's going to be pretty similar as far as the chart's concerned. The only thing is Bitcoin's going to be getting more valuable based on governments. I know they're not really saying it right now, but going to digital currency, because hey, they can't really print more digital currency, they could just make it appear, so it's cheaper for them too. Anyway, Cad Chf, this is what I see here going on. I mean, this is a weekly time frame. Let's switch it to the 4 hour. Okay, it's been sitting around this area a little bit. Maybe taking a buy is not as safe as taking a sell. This is just I believe that it's going to go back up here, but it might be a better trade if the sell is taken from here, right, and then dropped further down with, yeah, that's pretty reasonable. Maybe even covering this imbalance. Overall, though, if it rejects off this black line once again, this would be a nice buy, and I wouldn't hold it longer than this. If choose to, then this imbalance area would kind of be the cutoff, because again, you can see the supply zone right above that. I don't believe we're going to be hitting past maybe 7.76543. Funny how that's a straight flush if we're talking poker. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, so my strategy, Euro Cad, this might be a pretty decent one. So I just drew some temporary lines right here, and this is kind of what it's been hitting off twice each, right? 2 pins up top, 2 pins up the bottom. So judging where it's at right now, I would only take the trade if it climbs back up to this area once again. I'm not going to take it on the buy, because overall Euro Cad, Canadian dollar is much stronger than the euro. It's going to be showing strength, right? So I predict maybe something like this will happen and then drop back down. If it does go all the way down, then nothing's lost, right? So that is what I can see happening with Euro Cad. Very simple. And as far as my strategy goes, maybe not a red for this one, actually, now that I look over. Maybe just a blue. My strategy wouldn't really apply here. It's too volatile. This is more of a support and resistance play here, and it's going to be better off with a market structure trade idea. Euro GBP, the reason I like this one, I mean, it happened 3 times in the past off that same area. I did have an original trade idea here, didn't quite go all the way down. I think it was, once entry hit, kind of went 95 pips and reversed, so that would have been a break even. However, it kind of went up to the volume line right here, that extreme zone that we have drawn up from this entire area. Okay, and then there's the point of control from this entire thing that's down here. So it looks like we were playing with that, and now we're playing with that extreme zones bouncing off it. And judging from where these trades were, like this was 786 rejection, this was just above the 618, this is kind of in the middle. Very possible this can start going back down. Euro and GBP are both kind of weak, comparatively speaking. I mean, they're sitting around the same interest rates at this point, I believe. I don't want to speak out of turn there, but that's why we've seen the consolidation in the past. It's just been going, like, if you look at the grand scheme of things, it's just kind of going sideways, right? So what we see here, not really a whole lot, right? Like, it's all within 2 zones, this one. Let me just show it, because it's this black line right here and then this black line. It's just been bouncing in between those two for quite a while, right? Like, we finally crossed that April of 21. We hit the low of March of 22 and again retested it in April, and then went back up in June, and now we're retesting the low almost. right? So I believe that this is going to drop back down to this area before slightly moving up. I mean, it may not be as high as these ones were in the past. As you can see, the top of that, when you look at the crosshair and follow the line all the way to the left, it is just at the cusp of those tips, right? So I don't see it going higher than that, right? Taking it on sells would be a better idea for now, until about this point anyway, because you can even see the yellow line seems to be a pretty good guidance for the rejection, right? So once that hits, done, and probably looking at a buy. And then the Gbp USD, this bad boy is going to be dropping. And how? The only thing I project that it's going to do a little bit of a pullback to this area. And if it does, I mean, within the 2-hour time frame, I believe this is, right, nice and balanced. I could see a little pullback to here and then drop to the yellow, and then I don't know what'll happen after that. The only reason I say yellow is because it tested that area in the past. Could do it again. But I believe USD will be stronger for quite some time because interest rate hikes are not done yet, according to the Fed. And finally, Nzd Jpy. Successful trade from end of July right here, very nice, and then sharp reversal. But judging as to it broke the bottom, but it did not break through the top when it started dropping again, this will be a pretty solid trade idea, just a little bit of a reversal before going down further. And yeah, that's pretty much all I can see for structure here. Not to say that this move will actually happen. It may not even pull up and may just start dropping straight down. But from what I've seen, typically it's a bit of a consolidation. And this little imbalance right here is kind of where I drew this entry point from. And again, this trade could probably last 1 or 2 days. It's only 165 pips on a very volatile pair. Oh, and USD Chf, forgot about this one. So triple top happened there. You know, I expected a trade to be of a nice entry, and sure enough, here it was. Very quick. I think the trade only lasted about 2 days, 2.5 days. 2 days, 12 hours, exactly 2.5. Yeah, but it worked out. I was only expecting down to the white line here. Went a little bit further. So a very quick 4-to-1. I believe there was a point of control that formed during some consolidation in this area, and there's really not much points of interest other than going back down here. So the only issue of concern is that Swiss franc is technically weaker than the United States dollar because their interest rates are not as high as USD. However, if there's going to be any hawkish sentiments and Fed teasing at an interest rate hike as again in September, this could definitely drop down and drop down quickly. So we'll see. I mean, this is my potential for an entry. Very tight stop loss. I'll probably do a smaller lot size than normal, just based on currency strength here, but technical analysis shows me that it will be going down. Right, so a bit of a conflating issue. If your fundamentals don't really line up with your technicals, those trades you shouldn't be taking. It's only if your fundamentals and technicals coincide and show the same information that's going to be happening, those are good trades to take. Right, if you have conflicting information, maybe stay out of those. Okay, so this is a kind of maybe a 50-50 shot. I mean, realistically, it's all 50-50, right? It's either you buy or you sell and you win or you lose, right? But by 50-50, I mean it could actually play out to come down here, or it could just continue to go, right? Either way, I'm expecting this currency pair to drop. It just could be sooner, or it could be, you know, could form the fourth top right here before it drops. So we'll see when that happens. I still think this may be a valid trade idea for myself. And that's all I got. So I hope that's been informative and helpful for you guys. And I will see you next week.